Bitcoin jumped past the 16,000 mark on Thursday, and my guest today says it is not going to stop crushing the US dollar, and governments can't do anything about it. Joining us today is Max Keiser, host of the Keiser Report and a leading expert on Bitcoin who advised buying at $3 back in 2011. How come I didn't meet you back then, Max?
First of all, viewers should know that your jacket, nails, and are all matching. Your lipstick.
I did it for
it's
you
all
today.
rose-colored gold. Rose gold. It's the perfect color for you, Daniela.
It's a subliminal message
Gorgeous.
for my viewers
You're the only beautiful thing in the gold space. Everything else in the gold space is dead or dying. Only Daniela has life and is vibrant and is keeping the space alive. Without you, gold would be at $400 an ounce.
Max, you are too kind. First of all, what's your primer on Bitcoin for people who have been living under a rock in a minute?
My 1 minute Bitcoin pitch. Well, you see, everyone knows that there was a white paper in 2008, the Satoshi Nakamoto white paper, and it says right there, digital cash. And this is really setting things off onto a path of confusion because you have to go back and look at Bitcoin in a different way to really understand what it's all about. Number one, Bitcoin is a messaging app. Number two, Bitcoin is a store of value. Number three, Bitcoin is a means of exchange or a medium of exchange. So that digital cash piece doesn't come in until the third stage. First is a messaging app. People ask, why is the price going up like skyrocketing, parabolic? It's because why did Facebook go up parabolically? Why do email applications go up parabolically? It's a messaging app. Economics is messaging. Currency is messaging.
But we haven't seen anything like these moves, though, Max.
In Bitcoin?
Yeah. How do you? Anything comparable? How do you stomach this volatility? How do you deal with it?
I build incredible bonfires of fiat money in my living room, and I set them on fire, and I toast marshmallows on them.
The real deal?
Oh, what? No. Well, I think right now what's happening is that institutionally, and players in Chicago, New York, the CME, the SIBO, and others are now coming to the table. So here's what's happening now, in my opinion, is that you've got these guys in the futures business, the futures markets, the hedge funds. They want to get into this business in a bad way. But as you know, as I know, and I created the virtual specialist patent technology, 5950176 is the actual patent number. I know about market making, and I know how specialists work in the financial arena. And I know that what's going on now is that all these guys are building up their inventory. They need an inventory. They need a basis for Bitcoin that's relatively low going forward. They're going to ramp this all the way up to a much higher price before they launch these futures products. Then you're going to see volatility, but from a much higher level. And then the game gets even more interesting, and we can talk about that. But that's why you're seeing this past week and a half. Once the CME said green light to futures, these guys, the pros, it's a relatively peanut market compared to the bond futures, currency futures, stock futures. It's a minuscule. Right. But so they've got to inventory up. They've got to get massive inventory on hand so they can play the games they like to play. So they got to buy it.
So Max, make the counter argument to the number one argument against Bitcoin out there. It's a bubble, don't touch it.
Again, go back to my three stages as I explained. Bitcoin, number one, it's a messaging app. Number two, it's a store of value. And number three, it's a medium of exchange. As a messaging app, you have to understand that it's exponentially growing like that hockey stick moment, that growth spurt that you see in the technology space. If this was just a pure technology, if it was Snapchat, and it was getting hundreds of millions of new users every quarter, people would not question that. They'd say, well, that's normal because it's a viral, exponentially growing technology. That's what this is, but apply it now to a store of value, medium of exchange.
So to say that you got in at a great time is the understatement of the century.
Yeah, probably.
So if someone, and I get people stopping me all the time now saying, what do I do? I want to get into Bitcoin. I feel like I'm missing out on what others are gaining. But like at these levels, how do you touch it?
Well, I think it's going a lot higher. So you're still talking about a 10-time gain, 10x gain from here in the next, in the medium term. It's still going to outperform stocks, bonds, gold. It's going to outperform everything. It's going to outperform Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett famously said, compared Bitcoin to rat poison. And you know what? He's right. And guess what? Warren is the rat. Jamie Dimon is the rat.
I was at a Wells Fargo event yesterday who said absolutely advising clients not to touch Bitcoin with a 10-foot.
While they're stealing money out of people's accounts, Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a bunch of checking accounts. I think I'll just steal money.
Because-
don't buy
right.
Bitcoin and have individual
Well,
sovereignty.
let's talk about the risk. People cite market risk, security risk, and regulatory risk. How do you debunk these myths?
Well, regulatory risk is a non-starter because Bitcoin is the most regulated currency and security in the world. It's regulated by the protocol. The Bitcoin protocol is incredibly regulated. It's a beautifully game theory developed, equally balanced incentive system between buyers and miners and developers. And according to the hash 256 algorithm for proof of work stake in the cryptography area, and it just builds on top of that. And it's like, you have to, this is my comparison to gold, is that gold is element number, 97 on the periodic table. So it makes it uniquely beautiful and elegant to be a medium of exchange and a store of value because of its chemical properties on the periodic table. Well, you can apply the same logic to Bitcoin. When it came into existence, it had the beautiful, elegant, balanced, Cartesian almost beauty of having all these things in balance, working in a way that has never been done before and will never be done again, and it's going to blow the roof off every bank in America in the world.